match, that whole show is fucking awesome though. Like, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, like the Elite guys, had one of the best tag team matches I've ever seen. Like, that shit was incredible. That's worth the price of admission alone. Like, that match was fucking awesome.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
We should get started.
We should probably get started. I'll shut up about it.
Yeah. Hey, so on this special edition of Nerds Without Pants, game over, man. I guess. Yeah. I am Julian, and I'm joined as always by Justin. This is a terrible intro, but it's okay.
Have you heard my intros? See, this is why you need song lyrics. Quick, look up. Okay, hold on.
Time to play the game.
Straight up, now tell us, do you really want to love us forever? Oh. Okay, this doesn't fit at all. Never mind.
No, that's a different show entirely.
Yeah.
We're busting out this very quick, very topical episode of Nerds Without Pants, which is not what we normally do. We try to make the show relatively timeless, but I couldn't not do something about this because it was announced today, as we're recording this, it's actually the day of 3/11/2020, that E3 2020 is canceled.
I blame the band 311.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I didn't actually even really know anything about 311, but I've enjoyed the giant bomb.
311 is terrible. I'll agree with them.
Yeah.
311 fans.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so I guess just as a little bit of an intro, for anybody who hasn't listened to the show a lot, like. I've followed E3 since the beginning. Like, I have never not followed an E3. Like, I have paid attention to all of them going back to the magazine days. And then I've attended 5 of them, both at the height of the insanity of the booth babes and the spending and just the crazy shenanigans back in the early 2000s. Right. And then I got to see, one of them, like, right after, because there was that time, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later, where they had moved it to Santa Monica for a couple years, and it was just kind of this emaciated, kind of pathetic show for a little bit. And I went to the first one where they brought it back to the LA Convention Center, but it definitely was not the same. And then I also went to the first one that was open to the public, and that, as I've said multiple times, is the last time that I'm going to E3 because
I've heard nothing but bad things ever since they did that. So.
Yeah. But E3 has always been a very important thing to me. And, ostensibly it's being canceled because of the COVID-19 virus, but in this episode, I think we'll make a pretty good case that was kind of just the coup de grace, if it were. I think the writing was on the wall. We just didn't want to admit it.
That was the shining wizard that put it away for good.
Yes, I think. Yeah, you know what? It was sort of like the HBK Ric Flair match where, E3 was just in the corner, and then like COVID-19 was like, I'm sorry, and then just like super kicks it in the face.
I thought you were gonna make a Marty Jannetty reference where the C virus. That's what I keep calling the coronavirus because I've been watching.
That's not bad.
I've been watching. No, it is bad because it's a Resident Evil 6 reference, and I hate it. Is there actually a C virus? There is a C virus. It stands for chrysalid virus, but I keep saying it's Neo Umbrella's fault, this whole thing, and that's bad. I should joke about this, but I do. I'm sorry.
No, I thought you were being clever.
No, I wish I was being clever. Yeah. Where was I going with that? I don't know. I had nowhere to go with that. I was just saying, yeah, it's a Resident Evil 6 reference. It's really bad. No, I thought you were going to say that the C virus super kicked E3 through a barbershop window, and I wasn't sure where you were going with it. So I'm glad your reference made more sense than the one that was in my head.
I mean, barely. It was a labored reference at best.
It worked. It worked better than mine.
So right before we started recording, I put out a call on our Twitter page for questions. We only got a couple, but I thought these was like a couple really good questions that are we should probably just take right off the bat, just because I think that they address a couple of the big questions about this announcement today.
They are good questions.
Yeah. So the first one comes from Xrian, who's on Twitter at @Knights_Eternal. Who says, do you think the virus is a scapegoat for what may have been a horrible E3, considering they lost Jeff Keighley and I Am 8-Bit? Something must be going on behind the scenes. And
yeah, okay. Also, the fact that last year they leaked about a bunch of reporter information, which was not a good thing to do, and then barely fucking made up for it in any way, shape, or form, thus making everyone not trust them. They've been fucking up for a while, and Sony, pulls out. It's bad. It's been a sinking ship for a long time. I think we said earlier, I do think there is a legitimate reason to cancel here because you don't want to get a bunch of people in with this whole thing going around. In all seriousness, it's not worth risking it really. And it's not going to clear up anytime soon. From what I've read, it's supposed to be 18 months before they can even conduct or make a serum for it. So apparently Neo Umbrella didn't have anything to do with it because, as we all know, Neo Umbrella always made serums to their own viruses. That's how they got away with making the viruses. That was regular Umbrella. Okay, anyway, I'll stop making Umbrella references now. No, I won't.
I was going to say.
No, I won't. I'll never stop. You can't make me. But anyway, but yeah, I think the writing's been on the wall for a little while now, and while I do think it is a legit reason to cancel, I think it's probably kind of a year that if they canceled it, everybody'd be like, oh well. And that's kind of how I feel right now. I'm kind of I think Julian feels a lot stronger about this than I do, because it's been a kind of a downhill slide for a while for me. Ever since I started watching E3s again, I've kind of noticed it myself, where it's just been they're good, they're fine. You get cool announcements sometimes, but the ones last year's, it was just that was fine, I guess. It wasn't really anything I didn't already know. I mean, and that's partially because everything gets leaked now ahead of time. Yeah. But it's just been this downhill slide, and like he said, the I Am 8-Bit pulling out, and Jeff Keighley not being there. It seems like it's not a big deal. Who fucking cares? It's Jeff Keighley, but
no, I think it's a very big deal.
I was just gonna say, it is a very big deal because, he's been to all of them. He's one of the few people that's been to every E3. So, that's it.
Well, and even beyond that, just the way that he announced it, where he was saying it has become a thing that I no longer want to be associated with. Yeah, and it's that's So I think X3 hit the nail on the head. I've seen a lot of people today posting about we're gonna look back on COVID-19. We're gonna be laughing at how much we overreacted, blah blah blah. And it's no, this isn't because of COVID-19. If anything, the ESA was oh, thank fuck, we have an excuse, right? Because I think what would have happened if this virus didn't exist, right, and we were just going along as normal, E3 would have happened, and I think it would have gone down in the books as one of the not the worst, but one of the worst shows because nothing will be as bad as those Santa Monica shows, right? Yes, but
especially because it's a console year, it's a new launch year, and the only ones that were even going to be there with big things is Microsoft. So
and I think that like you said, it's been this downward spiral for a while, and it's last year Sony pulled out, but we were well, that's just because they didn't have anything to show, and they really didn't. They didn't really have anything new to show last year. But the thinking was, 2020 is a console launch year, so they're going to be there huge. And then when Sony said, nah, we're not going to be there still, that's when I think I realized, okay, if E3 continues, it's going to be a much different show. But then you start to look at other things. Jeff Keighley pulling out, I Am 8-Bit pulling out, and it just feels like we're nearing the end, and I don't want to, I don't feel that like it's over. Like, I don't think that like because it's canceled this year that it's not coming back. But
I think it'll come back. I just don't think anybody's going to care.
That's what I worry about.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're not, I'm devastated. Like E3, like I said on the show, it's like one of the big events for me every year. Like I actually did have the week off, but it actually ended up like clashing with someone else's time off in my department, so I had to move my week. But initially I had asked for E3 week off because I was like, here we go, son. Like, it is console launch year.
Yeah.
It's E3. Like, I need to be there so I can watch all the press conferences and, tweet all of my bullshit. and, like we used to do on this show multiple E3 shows a week.
Yeah.
We don't really do that anymore. Not because I don't want to do them, but more because I don't think it's what people come to our show for.
Yeah. We're not really like a news podcast.
We're not.
Yeah.
This is a very rare occurrence that we're doing something like this.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it is, it's, I get so excited for it. And, I do think that the industry needs this. It needs something that brings everybody together and celebrates the industry.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I did read a tweet. I think it was when I was reading up about a lot of this stuff, because as soon as Julian knows, like, hey, let's do a podcast, I was like, all right, well, I'll go research everything I can real quick. And one tweet I seen was Jason Schreier, who's been, tweeting this. He's been like on kind of the what's the word? He's been on the horn.
The Death Watch.
He's been on the watch for it. All this stuff. He's been on the phones. I don't know how journalism works, but anyway, but he tweeted out, he's like, it's not so much upsetting that E3's canceled as that for like press conferences, because that's what everybody thinks of it as. That's what like we, the public, see. It's more the behind the scenes stuff, like the chance meetings and all these like other happenings and business stuff that takes place that none of us see or know about. That happens there. That's a big deal that it's canceled for, because now they don't have that place to really come together. But, that's not to say it, I don't know. It's not to say that it can't still happen. Like, I don't know. Like I said, this kind of, to me, this kicked off last year when they fucking leaked all that information, because now, like, even though I'm sure they will never let that happen again, because, well, never say never. I don't really trust the ESA that much. But after that happened, they lost a lot of trust in people. So like anybody that goes and gets a badge or whatever, like, and they fuck up a lot of times. I remember, dude, they fucking, okay, this is a dumb story, but the ESA fucking banned Greg Miller from E3 because somebody...
Seriously?
Yes. They banned him from E3 because they said he gave someone his badge to get into the show with. Even though during the time that they said he was on camera with his badge. Like, that's a real thing. I was like, wow, that's fucking horrible. What a bunch of dumbasses. So, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing over there, but I don't know. They have to try to shift. They have to try to make it a PAX-like thing. But the thing is, at this point, I think it's too little too late. I don't think that what's the E3 that people want to see is the E3 that like you went to, back in the day. Like that's the E3 people want to go to. You're not going to get that. Like that's just not a thing now. You're going to get like a kind of almost a watered down PAX, because you don't even get to like go to the press conferences or anything like that. That's still closed off stuff. You can watch them from a stream, like, so why even go? Just you can stay at home and watch that stuff, and it's pretty much the same. And you can watch Giant Bomb talk over it, which is hilarious.
Yes. Now, and I think that is, like, and it's funny because this week on Giant Bomb, they recorded like the day before. So I think they recorded on Monday. So they were talking. They thought that E3 was going to get canceled, and they were kind of talking about what that meant. And Jeff Gerstmann was definitely like, at one point, he said, "I don't give a fuck about the show floor. I just want to have as many industry people in the same city as possible so that I can get them in a room and interview them." And it's like, yes, like, for like, I know you and I are big Giant Bomb fans, and so maybe we overestimate their reach, but I do think that what they've done in the last like 4 or 5 years with their night shows,
those are
with
great.
their interviews, has become like a big industry thing.
Yeah.
You know,
they're really good.
Yeah, and I'm going to be sad if that doesn't continue. I would think that maybe if E3, like worst case scenario, like E3 does shutter in a couple years, maybe GDC becomes that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, where one thing falls, I guess another would probably have to rise and take its place. Like, I mean, it's an important thing, like that tweet was talking about, like, so people can come together and make these business meetings. And like, yeah, I'm guessing you would need a show to kind of take over for it. Yeah, maybe GDC, or maybe like, I don't know, there's a lot of, maybe PAX makes their own fucking E3. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Or maybe it becomes Gamescom. It just means that like, I mean, it's already a bigger show than E3, but maybe now the US, or like North American side of the game industry, just they make the trip.
Yeah.
They make the trip, including the press.
I still think we're gonna see like big presentation like things around this time. I still think, because
we are.
There's already been like a lot of companies being like, we're gonna do a thing. We promise we're gonna do a thing. We have all this shit we got to get out there. We're gonna do a thing, but we're just not gonna do it in E3 or whatever.
Yeah. Phil Spencer already said that they're going to be doing some sort of digital event, which I got the impression like Xbox owners will be able to participate in that, where maybe that was something that we weren't going to get before. So that's kind of interesting.
Okay.
And like we talked about this, I think, in the State of the Generation podcast last year, but I do think that like one of the, like, you could still make E3 relevant and you could still make it a really fantastic show. But I do think that part of it, like, you need to kind of go back to the crazy days. I'm not saying that you need to have like a bunch of women in bikinis running around.
Yeah. But we've gotten, we can't really do that anymore. I mean,
you can't, but it wasn't just women in bikinis. Like, the booths would go all out. Like, I've got pictures with motherfucking Blood Rain. Like the Blood Rain booth, like the Majesco booth had a model that was an amazing Blood Rain costume.
I'm not saying you can't do cosplay or nothing like that.
Yeah,
I think that
saying.
Shit's cool. Like, I think that would be a really cool thing if you got, like, because there's some really badass cosplayers that you could really get to. Like, I was looking at one just popped up on my thing earlier today that was like somebody doing Triss Marigold, and I was like, damn, that looks just like Triss. Holy shit.
Yeah. But these were actually for the booths,
Yeah,
so like,
exactly.
When I went to go play The Suffering for PlayStation 2, they had a guy there, who was playing Torque, the main character, and he looked just like him. And it was, I got a couple pictures of him. It was amazing. And, they used to give out like demo discs and stuff that weren't released to the public. So obviously we don't do demo discs anymore, but imagine if you went to the show and got like download codes for demos that weren't released to the public.
Yeah.
Or, like I've said.
Well, there's a huge problem with that, because, okay, if you're opening it up to you can't open it up to the public at that point. Because
that's true.
They'll leak it all.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think what I was saying is that like, maybe they get an exclusive thing or something. But also, I think I've also said, like, just make all the demos like downloadable and playable. And I think one of the things is that they need to get over this, like, oh, well, the masses aren't going to understand that these are works in progress. And it's like, no, let's just get everybody used to seeing games that aren't finished.
Yeah.
So if something breaks, it's like, yeah, it's not finished, and I think if people see enough of that after a couple years, they'll just be like, okay, well, that demo looked like shit or it played like shit, but the game isn't coming out for a year and a half. So,
I mean, we already do that on Steam and it's fine. I've played some broken ass games that eventually actually became games. So
yeah, a lot of them actually get released for $59.99 and people buy them. And then a year later, they're actually the game that they thought they were going to be.
I bought WWE 2K20 and that was supposed to be a fully fleshed out product. That was not. You can't phase me with shit after that. Good
exactly. God. Yeah, and so I think that there's something to be said about like making all the booths have playable kiosks again, because that is one thing that I noticed that last one that I went to that was open to the public, is that 90% of the show floor was not playable stuff.
Yeah.
or if it was, like the lines were insane. But
Right.
even when I went in 2010, they had already changed that. Where I remember like, standing in line for a good chunk of time for Dead Space 2, and then getting into the room for Dead Space 2, and it was just like a sit-down theater presentation of the developers playing through a chunk of the game, and it's like, okay. And I mean, back then, I wasn't going to be able to really stream that, but at the same time, like now you can stream that, so
we have
that's
the
not
technology.
interesting.
Yeah, it makes it rough to do because people are going to leak shit like that. So
yeah. So I think there's definitely like a lot of things that they could do. I don't know if they will.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because if you're going to open it up to the public, you open it up to just every asshole with a phone camera now that can just leak whatever you're trying to keep
But that's fine.
private.
That's what I'm saying is that if you're going to open it up to the public, open it up to the public.
Yeah.
And like, just say like, look, this stuff is going to get out. It's going to be stuff that maybe doesn't look the best, but eventually people will just understand that, right, this is, early footage.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are like, yeah, it's an early game, but man, there are those assholes that will get on there like, look how garbage this game is, and that would probably spread because people are fucking dumb. Like, the internet is stupid.
But it is, but I think the people who are looking for that stuff are also in the know.
Yeah.
So I really do think that, like, what they're worried about, I don't think would happen as far as it getting to the level of like, Joe Madden dude who only buys, like Madden and Call of Duty every year being like, oh, I heard that game was real shit. Like that's not going to happen. Right. Because those types of gamers aren't that plugged into the scene.
It's very true. I mean, there's only one way to know, and that's to just do it and see what happens, I guess. So
yeah.
I mean,
and if this had happened last year, I would have been bummed, but it wouldn't have been as big a deal. But, dude, it's a console year. Like, I want to hear about the consoles.
I mean, you're still gonna hear about them though. That's why I'm like not super beat up about it, because like ever since Nintendo started their whole Direct thing, and people have seen how well that's worked for them, because they get this like they got their own little like spots, and they get to release their information about games they have coming out in their own time, and then it gets its own buildup of excitement every time they have one. I think a lot of those companies have seen that. Like Sony's been doing their things, and like I wouldn't put theirs on quite the level of like a Nintendo, only because like every time they do one, it doesn't.
They haven't cracked the code yet.
Yeah,
they haven't done a good presentation on it.
Yeah, well, they just never seem to have that much to show. Like, it always feels like they have, like, we got, like, 5 games, and maybe you're interested in one of them. Like, Nintendo is just like, here's a game, here's a game, here's a game, and then I usually come away with, like, 2 or 3 things. I'm like, yeah, I'll definitely check that out. That looked interesting. I don't know what it is, but seems cool.
Turn it off before the 45-minute deep dive into the new Smash Brothers tweets.
Oh, God, yeah, that was the worst E3. God, what were they fucking thinking? Oh.
But let me ask you this. Were you watching the year that they announced the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One prices?
I do not believe I was that year. That would have been...
That was 2013.
2013, yeah, no, I was out west that year, so I wasn't watching a whole lot of anything.
Okay, like that shit was insane.
I believe it.
Because, earlier in the day, Microsoft is like, here's our system that's online only, and you can't, trade your games or blah, 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 and it's $4.99. And then that evening, Sony's like, hey, here's our system that's more powerful than the Xbox One, and also it's $3.99, and you can still do everything you've always done before. What? And it was... Yeah, like, I remember I was like texting Patrick, I was like, fuck it, they won. Like, Sony won. Like, it's over. And sure enough, it was over before it even started. Like, Microsoft never recovered from that in this entire generation.
Well, now I guess whoever goes first has a distinct disadvantage. I don't know, maybe not, because they're kind of locked in at this point, so...
Yeah, I mean, I think it really comes down to price. But, because Microsoft is they've gone first. They've shown... the system, they've named it. Like,
they showed it and gave it a name, but they didn't say any specs.
No, they've given specs. They've given
that. It's slowly
given
leaked out.
full spec,
I'm saying at the time when they showed it, they didn't give anything. But
yeah, it was shortly after that, though.
Yeah.
More than Sony has done. Sony has really just like said, "Hey, it's going to load real fast, and it's got a solid state drive, and it's called the PlayStation 5."
It's basically everything Xbox has said, and from what I've been hearing, like they're not even sure how they're going to turn a profit on it because unless they charge like, from what I keep hearing, it's supposed to be 2 models. Like it's going to be like a base PlayStation 5, and then like your bigger, better model. Or something like that. That's supposed to compete with the Series X or whatever, but it's supposed to be like 600. That's
I'm expecting both of them to be 600. I've heard a lot of people saying 500, and I'm just like, no, I think it's going to be 599. Like,
I believe Xbox has said that they have a lower model as well.
Right,
but I'm the Series X.
Dude, come on, it's you and me. We're not talking about the lower models. Like,
no, I'm obviously I'm not either. I'm just saying that, but still, like, there's a lot of people that's fine. Like, they don't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's hard telling, man.
Yeah, I really like. I have been bracing for $599 for each of the systems. I hear a lot of people saying $499. Because they're like, oh, well, Sony never wants to touch $599 again. It's like, well, yeah, but Sony did that like back in 2005. It's a lot different now. You know, and also like people routinely spend that much or more on a phone every year. So, you know, like, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that that's kind of what I'm expecting. And if it comes under that, I'm going to be very happy.
For sure.
Let's see. We do have another question that we got from Amazed Skitty, who's on Twitter at rhexus, who asks, do you think that this will cause a ripple effect down the line? Feels like large publishers will do the Nintendo Direct thing, while smaller ones could join forces with their own style Direct. I think it's going to have a ripple effect.
I think we've basically touched on that as saying, I don't know if E3 comes back after that. I'm not saying it doesn't come back. I'm saying I don't know if it's going to be a thing like it has been, like... Yeah, I think there is going to be a huge ripple effect, actually.
I think it's only because, like, you know, we have a wrestling thing for the stage select, but I've been thinking about a lot of wrestling stuff, and it's going to be like that third time that DX got back together when it was Triple H and Shawn Michaels, where it's like, man, it was awesome when you guys did this last time, but this other time that you came back, like, it's just not the same.
Wait,
you know, like
the third time. When was the third time that happened?
Didn't they? So there was that run that they had, like in the mid-aughts, where it was just the two of them?
Yeah, it was just the two. It was terrible. Everybody hated it.
But didn't they come back again after that, and it was even worse? Like, not for very long. Didn't they just come back for like a pay-per-view or something?
I think,
When Shawn Michaels,
This was one of the Saudi Arabia shows. They came back and did a tag team match against Kane and the Undertaker, and
there you go.
Terrible.
And it's like, oh, Shawn Michaels, your eye is like migrating from your body. Like, what? You should not be wrestling, dude. Like, that's what I worry about E3. Like, it's going to come back, but
it's like the Undertaker. It's it keeps showing up to WrestleMania, but you're like, man, you can stop now, dude. It's fine. We all love you. We promise we love you. It's fine. You can stop.
We want to remember you the way that you were, not the way that you are.
Not the way that you are. Exactly that. I want to remember like marking out over Final Fantasy VII remake and stuff like that, not the year where I don't know, nothing happened or something.
Yeah. And that's really what it is. Because even with stuff leaking every year, I still get excited because it's like, okay, I might have heard that this game, like, this title was leaked, right?
Yeah. But
it's not until I see it at the show that I really know what it is, right?
That's very true.
And also, I tried to, like, go on a little bit of a media blackout before the show, so it's like I'm not the type of person who, like, honestly, I don't actually visit video game websites very much. I do most of my consumption of video game news and media through podcasts and YouTube.
Yeah.
So when I'm on YouTube, if I see something that's like E3 related leading up to E3, I just don't look at it. Mm-mm. Right. So I'm usually pretty pleasantly surprised with at least a couple things.
Yeah.
And like I said, even if it's been leaked, it's like, oh, but there it is in motion, you know, on my TV. That looks amazing.
Yeah.
So
it's still like, man, I've noticed like the past few times where like, a conference is about to end, and I'm like, oh, but they're about to hit us with that one last thing that's gonna like blow my mind, and then they don't, and I'm like, oh.
The last couple of years, that has been a problem where it's like, oh, where's the one more thing?
And I'm just like, I'm like, oh, it's over. Oh, they were serious. It was over. Yeah. Oh.
Well, you know my distinct disappointment the last like 3 E3s with because Square Enix has had press conferences and it's like announce Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 16, and then like it's like no, okay. Like at this point, I just want a logo. Just confirm to me that you're making it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, eventually they will probably. There's too much money not to. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, like I think the last time I got excited about like a one more thing type thing was like Cyberpunk, but I knew that game was coming out already. But it's still like to see the trailer I was like, holy shit, that looks awesome. Like
or little things like when they showed Keanu for the first time in the game for Cyberpunk, and then he came out on stage. Like that was fucking amazing.
That was cool. They need more things like that too. Yeah, fucking CD Projekt Red. Apparently I just read this like literally before we started, but apparently they're going to start a new Witcher like as soon as Cyberpunk's done. Like they're going to go right into development on a new one.
Wow.
So that sounds cool. Apparently it's not going to even be a numbered title. It's just going to be they have a concept in mind for it, and I'm hoping it's my Siri game. Please make my Siri game. Do it.
I think I'm more interested in that other idea you had where it's create my own Witcher game.
That'd be fine too. I'd be okay with that. I can make a Siri. Okay, yeah, I can actually make someone cooler than Siri. Okay, all right.
Yeah. I personally would like them to kind of get away from those characters, just because like we said, like their stories are have kind of already been told.
They're done. Yeah. Geralt's like is wrapped. To me, it's wrapped up. Like I know you could obviously you can always make it keep going, but like to me, like. Especially after playing the DLC, I was like, that's how that ends. I hope they don't make any more of Geralt. Like, I know he's very popular. I get there's a lot of money to be made in having Geralt in the game. I understand, but man, just let him retire, guys. Yeah. He earned his keep, goddammit. Let that man retire.
He can't get any more grizzled.
He saved the world already. It's fine. Leave him alone.
Although now that you bring up Cyberpunk, that does make me think of a silver lining with this. Mm-hmm. And that's simply that because a lot of the big games of this year have gotten delayed already, and there's a possibility that some games are going to get delayed even more because of the COVID-19 virus. Apparently there's a lot of like outsourcing studios that aren't able to work right now. And so those last bits of polish on some of these games isn't happening. Yeah. So we might be in like I won't be surprised if Final Fantasy VII Remake actually gets pushed again, just because they wouldn't. Oh no, wait, I take that back.
I feel like they already pushed that.
I think they already confirmed that they wrapped that one up, so that one might be fine.
I was gonna say that one. They only pushed it back like a month the first time. Like when they did that, I was like, they're pretty much done. They just needed like a little bit extra time with something. I'm guessing like there was probably some little bits of bugs here and there that they needed to work out. I'm still looking forward to playing that even after the demo.
Me too. But you know, so let's think about if E3 did happen, and let's think about some of the games that would have been there that are coming out this year. It's like, do we really want to see another E3 demo of Ghost of Tsushima or another demo of Cyberpunk? We're ready to play those.
Well, right? Sony wasn't going to be there anyway, so we weren't going to see Ghost of Tsushima there.
Well, they were going to do something like,
but it would either be way before E3 or a little after, because Sony's like they got the Nintendo Direct thing in their head to where, hey, we want our own spotlight. Like I feel like once they pulled out of that first E3, I was like, they're never coming back. I knew it in my heart.
But they did. I mean, they did a presentation last year.
Did they at E3? No, they didn't.
Didn't they?
No, not at E3. They weren't at E3. They did a little. What is that now? Wii Play, or no, it's not Wii Play. That's fucking Nintendo. What do they fucking call those? PlayStation Now? That's what it's called, I think. They did one of those. I think it was a week or two ahead of the show.
Oh, okay.
and I can't remember what they even showed. It wasn't exciting though.
Wait, that wasn't the year. Oh, no. That was 2 years ago where they had the weird, like, pavilion thing where they had the people funneling in. Okay.
Yeah. That was where they started switching acts. Theaters and had all this. It was interesting what they did. But they only had like 5 games. They had Death Stranding and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Once they bowed out of E3, I was like, they're never coming back. Like, I was like, why would they? Like, and I so far have been right. I hate to say it.
But consoles.
Yeah, but again, they can do that on their own time and get their own spotlight. They can instead of it being a competition between and yes, they have the opportunity in that competition window to seal the deal on a thing. Like you can go like you said, you made the example earlier where they, did the whole thing with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happened in the past, like the classic Sony PlayStation over Sega Saturn thing, all that stuff. You have the opportunity to shut the door, but at the same time, if your consoles maybe like even, and we're kind of at this point where a lot of them are gonna be right around even, like there might be like a hint more power here and there, like probably Xbox might have a little bit more going on. I don't know. They haven't come out yet. I haven't really researched that much into them, but you're not like, now you get your own excitement level once you announce this thing separate from Xbox's. Like you can like wait until Xbox does theirs and their excitement dies down. Then you can announce yours. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it.
Sure. But I guess, again, thinking like, what if like the COVID-19 thing hadn't been a thing? Like, to me, it's still surprising that in a console launch year that they weren't thinking, let's let players get their hands on this months early, right? Because that was always the thing back in E3 where it was like there was that grounds, because there was always people that got into E3 that shouldn't have been there, right?
Yeah.
When it was an industry only show. I mean, I got in there because of like, retailer credentials, but even then it's like, I didn't have purchasing power, right? So I really shouldn't have been there.
Right.
I just got to go. It was like a benefit of working in the industry, and I was like, yay. But there was something about like new consoles, like what do those controllers feel like, right? Like, what does the interface look like? What do these games look like in person? And that was always the first thing that you would hear about them. And so like, thinking that like both companies were like, nah, we're not going to do that.
Well, Xbox was like, no, we're going to go to E3 and we're going to show our shit off. And that would have been a big thing because I'm guessing they would have let people have hands on it. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. It's hard to say.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah. We don't know. And we won't know now because it's going to be a digital only thing. Now they still have the power to kind of like demo the games because from what I've to understand, like, a lot of their games are still going to work on Xbox One, like X and stuff. Like, from what am I right in that? I think.
Well, people are making a bigger deal out of that than I think it is. Basically, all they're doing is like, if you remember like previous console generations where you would have those games that would come out for both the previous generation and the new generation, instead of having 2 SKUs, it's just that you can play one, on both systems, right? So,
that's how it always should have been. Like, instead of you having,
yeah, if anything,
like
it's a better way of doing it.
Instead of them companies selling, like, and I know Cyberpunk's made a big deal out of this, but like, this is probably how it always should have been. Instead of them being like, I don't know, it's an HD remix of the game, and we're reselling it to you again for however much money, and that one has all the DLC that you didn't buy the first time.
Well, it's like, I think last year I was saying that like Ghost of Tsushima, to me, that didn't look like a PlayStation 4 game. And clearly it is. Like, it's coming out in the summer, but I'm willing to wager that game's going to run like trash on a base PlayStation 4.
Oh,
and
I'll
nearly
tell you
break
all
a
about
PlayStation 4 Pro.
Dude, let's see, what's the last couple games I played? Death Stranding, which was, dude, it sounded like my fucking PlayStation 4, because I have a base PlayStation 4, I thought it was going to like catch fire at any moment. Like, I keep waiting for, like, I just keep playing my PlayStation 4 and I'm just like, one of these games is just going to break it. Like, it's just going to die, and I'm ready for it. I'm fine with it. I've accepted it as part of my destiny. But like, at the same time, I'm like, kind of hope it doesn't, but Because, like, fucking Death Stranding just turns on all the HD options, even on a base PlayStation 4. Like, it's turning on HDR and shit. And I was like, I didn't even know it could do that on this. And I'm really scared now because I don't feel like it should be doing this. Like, I feel like this needs a lower mode for this goddamn thing. But there's another game where it sounds like it's going to take off, like a fucking airplane's taking off every time.
Horizon, maybe? Because I know you played that recently.
Yeah, Horizon wasn't too bad.
That came out right as the Pro did. So.
Yeah, as the Pro did. That one wasn't too bad because there was 2 different modes. You could play performance or the better graphics version. And I think I did put it on like the performance mode, so I didn't have too many problems with that. Oh God, I keep thinking there's something else I played. Who cares? It's fine.
Well, yeah, but you know, because I think as I've said on the show, like my plan is to go with the Xbox Series X, mainly because I'm just in that ecosystem more right now, and then also with the Game Pass stuff, it's kind of a no-brainer because, like, I'll just have all of the first-party launch games already before I even get the system home. Yeah, because they're just going to be part of Game Pass, so it's like exactly that's huge. But you know, and so I was saying, you know, and then I'm sure that Sony, I'm sure they're still going to do half-step consoles. I think that's going to be a thing that is just the way it is now.
Future, yep.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, so then I'll get the PlayStation 5 Pro or whatever. And the only way that would change is if they announce, Final Fantasy 16 is in development and it's a launch exclusive on the PlayStation 5. And then I'm like,
it probably will be. Yeah, it probably will. I mean, judging by, at least for the first however long, because the 7 remake's only on PlayStation. There's a bunch of stuff that I wouldn't expect to be only on PlayStation that is only on PlayStation. Like, here's a weird one, and this is like maybe fucking some preview for the next episode. I've been looking into playing a Souls game because I took a look at Neo 2, and I really want to mess around with the character editor because that character editor has a lot of sliders, Julian, and I really want to mess with it. So that's what it takes to get me into a Souls game. So I was like, oh man, you know what? I'm going to look into this. I'll go download that on Xbox. That's a third-party game. That's Koei Tecmo. I know who makes that shit. And I look on Xbox. I'm like, why isn't it on here?
Yeah.
No, it's PlayStation 4
welcome to my
exclusive.
nightmare.
I'm like, why is? Oh my God! Now I'm like, do I even want to play it now? Because man, it'll probably break my goddamn console. I don't know.
Yeah, again, I don't know like how difficult porting is and stuff like that, but my understanding is that the Xbox and PC is very similar. And so my argument has always been, if you put your game on the PC, why don't you just go ahead and put it on Xbox One also? I'm looking at you, Dragon Quest 11. It's like,
is that out on PC?
It came out on PC the same time as PlayStation 4.
Really?
And to me, it's like, okay, maybe you only sell a couple 100,000 units on the Xbox One if you port it, but that's still for a Dragon Quest game, that's a huge amount of units sold.
Yeah, I don't know. Square Enix they're weird about Xbox. I don't know where exactly they got burned real bad. You maybe have better insight on that than I do. Yeah, because it seems like they always put either that or they have some kind of contract with Sony where they put everything out first there. Because it feels like just about everything comes out first from Square Enix. On PlayStation.
But you're right. It's a lot of stuff, because like I was surprised when they announced that like Yakuza 0 was coming out for Xbox One, because I had been saying, hey, all of these Yakuza games should come out on Xbox One, but they weren't. But Yakuza 0 did come out on PC. So there you go. Like that one is on Xbox One now.
Yakuza 0 is just now out on Xbox One. Like it recently came out. And I was kind of like, well, I don't want to play it again, but maybe in the future because that's a really good game.
It is. And I haven't finished it, but I also am like halfway through it, so I don't feel like I should like replay the first half. But achievements.
So yeah, dude, I replayed fucking The Witcher because I was like, you know what? I haven't played it. And I was going to play it on PC. I think I said this on the show. I was going to play it on PC because I actually bought it on PC a while ago. Because I was like, I'm going to mod it. I'm going to make all the stuff that I want to fixed and all this other stuff. I'm going to add all this cool shit. And then I looked at all the mods. I was like, there's not actually that much going on. And I can't remember what I wanted to fix. So achievements. Let's do that.
Yeah. Well, we've gone pretty far afield from the whole E3 thing. So I think we've probably said our piece on it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't feel particularly too strongly. I think it's going to be fine. Well, I think E3 is going to, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't really trust it to come back in too strong a capacity. I think it's lost a lot of trust. I think it's got a lot of ground to make up if it wants to come back. And I think this might, if ever there was a year that they couldn't skip because it's a console year, and I know it's kind of out of their hands at this point because of, you know, the circumstances surrounding it. Obviously, you don't want to put people at risk and stuff. I totally understand. Yeah. But this is a bad year to skip, because it is a year where a lot of people would want to watch because of the console stuff. People want to see that shit. And I don't know if they can come back. Well, I guess time will tell. Like we said, maybe somebody's going to rise up and take the place of that. Maybe somebody puts something new together. That'd be cool. I'd be interested to see it, but it's hard to tell. But I still think around that time, we're still going to get a lot of announcements. We're still going to get a lot of new stuff. I think lot of the press conference type stuff is still going to happen, and hopefully Giant Bomb talks over all of it, because that's what I want to happen.
Yes, same here. For me, as someone who has always rabidly followed this stuff and has never stopped and never, like, you know, taken a break or anything like that, I am super bummed about it, but it also kind of deflates a lot of my excitement for this year in games where beforehand I was very excited. And that's not just E3. That is also because of the COVID-19 stuff. Because, like I said, if we start to see some of these bigger, higher profile games that get delayed, you know, possibly into next year, and, you know, there's a very real possibility that the systems, well, I mean, I think they'll launch when they're going to launch, but it might be a massive shortage a la the Wii.
I was going to say, yeah, it might be a limited quantity type thing, which I don't know if it'll be as big of a problem this generation because of how these consoles seem to work with the backwards compatibility stuff. But we'll see. Either way, I'm still excited for just the games that are coming out for this generation. Like, I'm still fucking psyched about, like, Ghost of Tsushima and, I can never pronounce that right. Ghost of Tsushima. There, I got it. And, like, Cyberpunk and, like, just a lot of other things that are slated to come out. So I'm still amped. My excitement level has not gone down. There's still, like, a lot of games that I want to know more about that I'm sure I will hear more about in these press conferences. Like, I don't know. What's the one that I haven't seen much about and wanted to see more of? Gods and
Bayonetta 3?
Yeah, Bayonetta 3.
Yeah.
Apparently Bayonetta 3, they tweeted out something that were like, hey, we know you haven't heard a lot about this game, but we promise everything is fine, which just, I don't know, which immediately my paranoid brain goes, I don't think everything's fine. I think something's going horribly wrong.
It's literally Han Solo on the Death Star talking into the mic.
Yeah,
how are
everything's
you?
Fine. How are you? We're all fine here.
Yeah, that doesn't instill me with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, but I still hope. I really can't wait for that game. I wish it was coming out for... Man, I want to see Bayonetta in, like, a better console than a Nintendo console. No offense to Nintendo fans, but Bayonetta's cool, and she deserves to be, like, in, like, DMC5 graphics type glory stuff. Yeah.
I want her hair costume to actually look like hair. I think that would be really cool.
I don't know. That might be a little off-putting to me.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want that.
Yeah. I also want her to go full frontal. I think that they should do full Monty. I think that they should break the seal.
Well, there's plenty of games on Steam that are just for you, Julian, and I'm sure you could find them.
I have been having a lot of fun with H Rescue. That is a well-crafted game.
5-star game. 2 thumbs up. 3 thumbs up. You can figure out where the other thumb is.
Yep.
What a joke by Justin Ham. He really nailed that one. He's talking in the third person. Why is he doing that? I don't know. But no, I'm a big fan of short hair Bayonetta. I'm not going to lie. I fucking love short hair Bayonetta. I'm a big fan. Bayonetta made me a fan of short hair. I don't know how the fuck that happened.
But her costume is still hair in that one, isn't it? It's just that, right? Like,
I think so, but I don't
really know how, like, yeah.
I think, it is. I think so. I like to just imagine it's like demon blood or something. Where's demons? It's cool. I don't know.
That's not any weirder than hair.
No, I'd rather. I mean, we wear animal skin. It's fine. You wear demon skin. Fuck demons. Nobody cares about them. You can wear them. It's fine.
Hopefully, you guys thought this podcast was fine. And thank you for indulging us. You know, this is really more, and also thank you, Justin, for indulging me, because this is really more.
No problem.
You know, like I really needed to talk about it, and I wanted to get it on recording.
Hopefully, I did okay. I was very unprepared. Yeah. Okay,
I think it was fun.
I think it went okay.
Yeah, listener. I mean, you know, like I said, this isn't what we normally do, and don't expect this type of content all the time. It's just this is a pretty big deal, and I figured, hey, we've got an opportunity to actually like get this out immediately. Like, and that is another thing. Like, I apologize for the lack of editing because I'm just putting this up as is. So I'm sorry that you had to put up with all of my actual stuttering in real time that I normally cut out of the show.
I apologize for every time where I lit a cigarette and probably cleared my throat, because that happens often. And also, here's a weird behind the scenes joke. Julian, how the fuck were you editing without the silence option? How were you doing that? That blew my mind when I read it.
It wasn't there before, and so
I know. What did you do instead? We'll talk after. No,
I will say for anybody who's interested, what you do is you click on generate, and then you go down to silence and click on that, and then you click on OK.
Right. I know how to generate silence. I've done that, but how did you like silence? Okay, so you just would delete the audio and then put silence in its place? Is that what?
No. So I would highlight the part of the track that needed to be silenced, and then go through all of those steps.
Okay. But I didn't know that worked that way. Okay, yeah.
But now I can just highlight it and click a button. It's like, holy shit, this changes everything.
Yeah, that's how I've always done it. When I read that, I was like, how was he doing it before? I don't understand. Like that. Like I was like amazed. I was like, what was he doing? What witchcraft does he used to edit this thing? He's a master of his craft. I have more tools than him, and I don't even know how to do it.
Apparently, I'm quite the Luddite at this craft, and I was, so that saved me a bunch of time on the last one, although I will say...
Dude, that button is magical.
There were a couple times specifically where I left in your lighter spark, just because it was funny. Because
sometimes it's good for dramatic effect. Yes.
Yeah, because you paused for this really long time before you started the stage select, and I was like, I'm just leaving that in because you can tell that the cigarette's in your mouth.
Good, excellent. Now I'm gonna do it just to like make it an emphasis on it. This is for our true fans out there. Now, see, the cigarette's in my mouth. This is how I sound. I made it a very dramatic blowout there. Yeah. Should be very audible. You're all welcome. Enjoy that. Everybody's like, what the fuck are we listening to at this point?
Everybody's turned it off. Like
they turned it off. They turned it off a long time ago, probably. It's
yeah. So when we brought up Cyberpunk, they're like, oh, we're just talking about games now. We don't care.
We don't talk like this all that often on the show, so it's fine.
Yeah, I think there's value to it. I have to keep telling myself that because otherwise everything just collapses in on itself. Yeah, but I guess that'll do it for this. But you can find us on the internet and you can interact with us and let us know what you thought about this and what other thoughts that you have about E3. You probably want to you probably want to send those to me though, because Justin can't be bothered with that. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll look at them. I see them all the time. Sometimes I don't like comment on them, but I don't comment on the Nerds Without Pants thing unless like it hasn't been done in a while, and I feel like it's an emergency. I was like, our last one, I was like, nobody tweeted out that we were doing a stage select, and we usually do the last minute thing. I should try to do that.
Yeah,
it's no big deal. I was like, I feel we got 4 hours. Maybe somebody will last minute do it, and I was like, I feel bad. But I usually don't do the Nerds Without Pants Twitter because I don't feel like it's my place to yet. I feel weird doing it, but.
You're the only other host, so
I'll start tweet. I don't know what to tweet from that one because all I don't know because all I have is a bunch of weird wrestling tweets sometimes. But and then I feel weird if I tweet out about something I'm playing because I'm like I'm spoiling the show if I do that. I'm weird. I have a weird mentality.
You do because I definitely, because I love using the share button from my system. So I will definitely be like sharing stuff from games that I'm playing. And it's like, it may be on the show, it may not, because sometimes I just, stuff just doesn't get onto the show. But,
you know what? You know what? If you're still listening to this, tweet me and tell me if you want me to start doing things like that. And so I will start telling people what games I'm playing. I will give all the details. Well, not all the details. I'll save some
you gotta
details.
save some for the show.
But I'll be like, look at this garbage or whatever. I'll say everything's garbage, even if it's great.
There you go. And if people wanted to tweet you, they would find you on Twitter at...
You can tweet me at Tyrone_Swift, or you can tweet my other podcast, which we have an episode coming out soon. I'm going to record it tomorrow in the daytime, at Clickbait Update. And it'll be about Gwen Stefani and what the fuck you're doing wrong when you cook hot dogs. 'Cause that's a thing. And, I'm going to be...
I don't actually cook the hot dogs. I just eat them. That's been a thing since I was a kid, dude. I love me some raw hot dogs.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna move on. I don't even know how to react to that. But anyway, also I'm gonna be on the Games My Mom Found podcast pretty soon. Here, we record that pretty soon, I think. I know, but I'm not gonna. But I think it comes out. Should be pretty soon here.
Because I know that I think they've got because they posted on Facebook like the lineup, and I think it's like Resident Evil 3 and then yours and then Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and I think shortly after that they should be announcing the next one that I'm going to be on, which I should probably start playing that. So definitely go check those out, and you can find me on Twitter at Julian_Titus. You can find the show at NWPcast. And hopefully you enjoyed this. We're going to get out of here. Wash your motherfucking hands, people. Seriously. You ruined E3 for me, god damn it.
Damn you, evil Ada Wong.
Yeah, that's going to do it. For myself and Justin.
You don't want me to explain who evil Ada Wong is? No, you don't. Go ahead.
I mean, it's just Ada Wong. Like... She's no. It's like, oh, did Ada switch sides again? Oh, I'm so shocked.
No, listen, Julian, there was 2 Ada Wongs in Resident Evil 6, okay? There was one evil Ada Wong, and then there was chaotic neutral Ada Wong, as usual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wrap your head around that. Anyway, continue your outro, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just figured she was the Revolver Ocelot of the Resident Evil franchise.
Yeah, she doesn't make sense in any the further on in the series you go, her plan makes 0 sense. Yeah,
she's an octuple crosser. That's how many times that she crosses people.
That sounds right.
That's a word that I just came up with.
It sounds like a word.
We got to get out of here. This is just this. Now it's embarrassing. So for myself and Justin, thanks for listening, and keep it pantsless, internet. Bye.
Bye. All right.
And now, a Nerds Without Pants moment of silence for E3.